Hello, everybody. This is a Lamley showcase. We are in Columbus, Ohio for the Hot Wheels Nationals Convention. We have a treat. We have a new guest for Hot Wheels sneak peek videos that we like to do. Say hello to Phil Riehlman. How are you doing, Phil?
I'm doing great.
That's awesome. I should just let them know that we tried this video once and realized that it wasn't filming. So we're trying to act excited again, but we can because we have a lot of really cool stuff to show you. And Phil, you're being a trooper here as we do take 2 of this video, but it's worth it because you've got some really, really cool stuff to show. I'm going to pivot the camera down. I will say, and I mentioned this, well, I mentioned this in the last take, but I haven't. You've been around Mattel for how long?
30 years almost.
Okay, so we're talking to an old legend, the old pro. I mean, Drag Bus is one of your most famous, most used castings, right? We see it come out in one shape or the other, it seems like every year. I think for the newer collectors, the R34 Skyline, well, the Drag Bus is what, 96?
Yes.
So that's been around a long time. The Skyline, I think we determined somewhere
we were trying to
late
figure it out.
aughts, something like that, you know?
2008,
Yeah.
10, somewhere around
And
there.
it's just grown and grown and grown in popularity, and that was one you did a while ago. And we could talk about that, but we got new stuff to look at today. We want to get right to it. I'll pivot down again, and let's start. So, and I'll pivot it back up one more time. You got some of the stuff that you have worked on forever, basic, premium, that sort of thing. But you are working on a brand new line with Hot Wheels as well, and we're going to get into that. Very excited to talk about those. Now let's get to the model. What are we looking at?
All right, we'll start with the small stuff.
Yes.
This is a car I've done for Mark's line. It's a Mercury Capri. I always have to look GR5. This is from late 70s, early 80s, I'm thinking 78, 79
Got it.
era.
Got it.
Van did the deco on it. I think he captured that period very well. That whole
Yes.
Ford racing kind of look.
Very like vintage style,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
70s
very-
era.
very
simple.
period correct.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, so it's fictitious, but it looks very real. It's always fun. I like to work on, basics and premium and,
Sure.
and all the different stuff. The variety is fun. It really messes with your mind.
I bet. I bet.
Especially when you're going from basic to premium to another scale and so on and so forth.
And so this is, and yeah, I'm sure it does, and especially with what we're going to talk about here in a second when you're moving scales as well. But this thing is, this fits so perfectly into car culture. That's where we're going to see it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this is going to be mixed with, but obviously a beautiful casting, cool and vintage. And, well, let's keep going. And I want to see what else you've got,
All
you got
right.
going.
We'll stick with car culture as
Okay.
we're moving through here.
Oh,
This
look
is
at
an
that.
EP.
Okay. So it
So-
means casting's done, right? But not the
Not the
deco.
deco. Yeah. This is when they've got the tools kind of first time together and they throw some paint on it, see what happens,
Sure.
and look at it. So it's got basic wheels on it, even though it will be premium and it will have nicer wheels on it, the real riders and everything. So just heavily modified Corrado. It's a big
Yes.
Volkswagen Corrado VR6.
Awesome.
So we've got big old flares and a rocker extension
That's
and
so cool.
custom front end to house the little intercooler in
Yeah.
there, and custom exhaust, back end bumper, and spoiler. So pretty modified on the outside.
And this is, we see this in car culture a lot. We'll see a classic casting, but obviously modified in a more modern way or something
Yeah.
like that. And this thing is awesome, and it is for premium. I can tell by the weight. It's got the metal chassis and everything else. I can't wait to see how this one gets decorated by Van. I assume is going to be doing.
I believe Van or Kevin.
Okay.
Van. I think Van did it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've seen the e-sheet, so
Got it. We'll like it.
yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Trust you.
I can't wait to see it myself. You work on these things, and it's
And then
it's
you hand them
exciting.
off, right?
Every stage is
Sure.
exciting.
Sure. All right, you
So-
got a couple others that I have to say with the snow. Well, show us what else you got. A couple basics that you've been working on.
Yeah, so basics. This is the first one that's coming out. This is a Jeep J10 Baja truck. A lot of fun. A lot of the fact that Baja trucks don't have windows, so that gave me
Sure.
It's almost like having an extra part to work with, because then you can use it for other stuff.
And we want to talk about that. It's got on the turntable, and people might notice because there's there's the fact that you've done this model in and of itself, a Baja version of this Jeep is fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Really creative, really, really cool. But the thing that really strikes me is what you're clearly hinting at, is that you can play with the parts a little bit. And here we have 2 spare tires with rims on them.
Yes.
And that, I assume that's what you're talking about, because you can remove the
Yes.
windows and now you can play with it. How did you do that?
So it was funny. I had given thought to that a little bit, but I didn't think that would require another slide.
Sure.
So I was reluctant to do it, and I was showing it to Jerry. We were going over, decoration and stuff like that. And he mentioned it. And when he mentioned it, it kind of reinforced it and drove me to try to do that, and made it through. So it was close enough to cost
Sure.
to get it through. So
And yeah, to remind, this is a basic level
model, the most challenging of all in certain respects.
I can assume, because you have just so few parts to work with, right?
Yep.
And I'm assuming that the chrome part is part of this interior, and that runs to the front as well and creates the break in the front with the grille as well. That's incredible.
So yeah, you're getting the interior, all the details in the bed, the wheels, and the grille.
That is insane for a dollar car. That's incredible. And I should also mention, it's not surprising that you're doing a Jeep. We'll play into this theme a little bit later in the video, but you are a Jeep guy.
I am a Jeep guy. I've got a Jeep TJ, an old Wrangler, and we take it out and we go, on the trails and enjoy it. I tow it behind my motorhome, take it out, and go out on the trails, get exhausted, come back, and go to a nice, comfortable bed.
That's, I think, probably the proper way to Jeep, right?
I think that I know overlanding is a trend, but I don't know. I kind of like to have a little kitchen
and that interest is bleeding into what you're working on too, because you've seen a couple. Well, I mean, we see one Jeep, and I think we have another one, right?
Yes, we have a forward cab, Jeep
Look at
forward
that.
cab. Odd vehicle, but yet compelling.
Yes.
I see people modifying these days, and this one, of course, being Hot Wheels, it's got a Elephant motor in it because you need 1,000 horsepower to turn those 40-plus inch tires. And it's lifted and modified, and it's got the roof lights and the roof rack and the case up top and the spare tire. It's got a fridge in the back.
I was going to ask. That's a refrigerator.
That's a refrigerator because you got to have your refreshments.
That's so great.
When you're out on the trail.
Sure. That is so cool.
Got the intake coming up above the roof there to take in some fresh air.
Yep. That is a stunner of a model. I mean, both of these are, and as far as Jeeps go too, they're very cool, very creative, very new. I think it expands on a lot of Jeeps. But enough about the small stuff, right?
All right.
Those are your little side gigs, right? Because you got a main gig that you're working on right now, it is. I mean, when we say new, it's new. Something that we haven't seen in a long time from Hot Wheels, and it's scale wise. I'll let you kind of talk about it.
So it's a new line. It's premium 143rd.
Okay.
So we haven't done 143rd for a while. We've done G machines in the past.
Sure.
And that was more of a extreme Hot Wheels take, on proportion and wheels and stuff like that. The execution was much more extreme.
Sure.
This is much more about detail and executing to a more realistic approach.
Got
it. Not much in this category in the U.S. especially.
Sure.
Especially in this price range because we're going to be around the $25 price range.
I was going to ask. So, and we'll look at these models and talk about your approach, but just out of the gate, $25, and these will be in stores.
Yes, they should be starting this summer in Target.
Okay. So real soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. Well, we want to see these things.
All right.
All right.
Let's start with the Lamborghini Countach, which will be in mix 1.
Wow.
There are 2 cars per mix, and I'll put Mark's premium right next to it so you get a feel for the scale.
Yeah, a little teaser of Mark's car too here.
Yep, a little teaser of that. And
I'm going to actually hold these up real quick.
In a little bit.
So obviously, so I'm looking at this, and then I'll let you talk about it. But I'm looking. Obviously, the scale is different: 143 versus 164. The other thing, right out of the gate, I'm noticing there's a ton of detail. I'll let you get into that. But also, like standardized wheels on the 164 scale, like whether it's premium or basic, you got to work with what you got to work with. But these wheels are unique to the Countach, right? So is every model that you're going to build in 143 going like from the ground up, everything is
Ground up,
built
everything
from
is
scratch.
unique to that vehicle.
Oh, how
Tires,
cool
wheels,
is
everything.
that?
So, axle length,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So you can do it much more true to
So
scale.
you're not working within it other than the scale itself. You're like, we're going to build this and
Yep.
replicate it as close as
Yep.
we can to the
we're,
real thing.
We're trying to do 1/43 true to scale, which actually brings up some surprises as you're working on it, because
I
some
bet.
cars are much bigger and much smaller than
Sure.
you expect. This Lamborghini is very long. It's actually longer than a four-door Jeep.
Really?
Without the accessories, yes.
Wow.
Which we'll talk more about that later.
Sure.
Of
Yes.
course we will.
Yes.
It's a Jeep.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's and in this car, so some of the things that are kind of common to the line, we try to make sure to get the brake calipers visible and brake rotors.
Wow.
And paint the calipers if it's appropriate.
Sure.
And try to get maybe a detail or two on the interior. This particular car has a very cool two-tone interior, and it's got big windows, so I really want to show off that two-tone interior. So we did do that in this one. Separate headlights, taillights. These cars have roughly 28 to 34 or 6 parts
Wow.
each.
Wow.
And that includes the wheels and tires because they are unique to the car.
Sure.
So yeah, a lot of parts, high deco count, so maybe 70 ops on some of them in that range.
So you're not cutting any corners here.
No.
With these.
No.
Like if it's like if it has an intake here, interior here, wheel like this, positioned in this place with this kind of deco and this kind of like you're going for it.
Yeah, we're trying to push it as much as we can.
That is so cool. And for $25, that's
Yeah,
pretty
it's for me, having worked on $5 cars and dollar cars, to go to $25 sounds like a lot.
yes.
But what you're getting here, I think, when you really look at it, for
Yeah.
these days, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm noticing the interior, two-tone interior. So it's like from the inside out, you're really working on all this.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing a lot of details. What else is coming with this one? Like, are they going to be released in singles or?
So there's 2 cars per mix.
Okay.
The next car is going to be the Corvette Z06.
Oh, look at that.
So, very cool car. Horizontal plane motor. Or flat plane. Is it horizontal plane or flat plane?
Yeah, don't ask me. Don't ask me. You
Very,
put me on the
very,
spot.
very cool
Yeah.
motor. And anyways, I shocked that they were doing that. But that's where you get into the sport car versus exotic, and
Sure.
that's sounding a little exotic to me.
Yes, I would say so.
So, very cool car. And again, if you look, separate headlights, taillights, and it's die-cast, which is another thing I forgot
is
to
cool.
mention.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, they got a lot of weight to them.
they got some weight to them. You can kind of see the yellow calipers, body color matching rotors there.
Oh, those really appear. Those pop.
And one thing I forgot to mention too is that when possible, we're trying to match actual colors as best we can. So we got chips from the factory or from the manufacturer on these 2 cars.
Wow.
So we did our best to match their colors. Which is a challenge on some of
Sure.
these colors, but I feel like we got really close on those. And that one not as much on the interior, but there is some interior detail in there which you probably see.
Yeah, I was noticing that you can see it on the steering wheel, and I know it's people once they get these, but you can see that you've got some other detail in there too. I'm trying to go as close up as I can, but on the dashboard or something, it looks like you've got some other deco in there. So
Yeah.
that is beautiful. So these are the Lamborghini and the Corvette will be the first mix. We'll
Yes.
see this summer. Awesome, and you've got some other stuff that's coming after that.
So yes, mix 2.
Let's
now
see it.
these are not these are first round FEPs. So
Okay.
sometimes they get it right the first time. These they probably won't.
Meaning we'll see some changes.
We will see some changes.
Got it. Okay.
For example, the headlight deco will change on this car. The taillight deco, we do not do opaque taillights.
Got
they
it.
are all clear, tinted.
Makes sense.
Tinted. So and these are die-cast. This one, however, on cars like this where it makes sense to do separate exhaust drivetrain
Sure.
type parts. Those will be there. So this black part is die cast, but this is ABS. Right now, I'm feeling this is very bright and needs to be toned down a little bit.
Okay.
So thinking more on the lines of maybe some black VUM kind of thing. So it tones it down, but looks a little more metallic.
And it's a Mustang. We see
it's
that.
a Mustang.
Yeah.
This is going to be matte black, not shiny black. Darker wheels. So there's quite a few minor changes that are going to happen to this before it goes to production. But yeah, I mean, you got the little Mustang on the steering wheel.
Let me see that. I want to show that real quick.
A lot of nice
Oh
detail.
yeah, there it is. Did I call the last car Mustang? I think I called it at one point. I called the Corvette a Mustang. But I do that a lot. I make those yeah, so you can see, you will do some updating on the taillights and things like that. But I just think people just need to get the gist of what this is. And what's cool is to see the wheels and know that we're going to see the proper wheels on these cars, which I'm very excited about.
And you get to a wheel like that where those lacy spokes, they really do not want to do through holes on those cars. And at this level, you have to.
Right.
You have to. And wow. Yeah.
That is a stunner. So that's the first car of Mix 2.
Yep. Second car, surprise.
Oh, look at this. A Jeep.
A Jeep.
Yep.
A Jeep. And not just a regular Jeep, but it is a 392 with that Hellcat motor in it.
Yeah, you go out, like I said, go all out. Right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. The biggest problem with Jeeps is, V6, and you start putting 40-inch tires on it. It's a little sluggish.
It's going to fight.
It's going to fight.
Yeah.
A little extra torque is good.
So do it right.
And this is the first one where it is modified because that's what you do with a Jeep, right?
Sure, makes sense.
You never leave it alone.
Nope.
You spend money on it no matter what. So this one has custom rooftop tent. It's got the custom roof light kind of integrated to that. The awning, you got the spare tire, the farmer jack, the extra gas can, the recovery boards.
Oh my gosh!
Custom
look at that.
bumpers, winch. All the goodies you need when you go out there.
And it's again, obviously we can show what we show, but it's the feel for this thing too that I just like. When you pick it up, you just know you've got something that's built really, really well, and it has that kind of sturdy feel to it. And I mean, it feels very much like something you can display, but also rough up a bit. I know that there's some delicate parts here, but it feels very sturdy, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Also on these, trying to make a little bit more use of textures and stuff like that.
Sure.
Because in this scale, those things become a little more apparent.
Of course.
So working on those, but
that is something. Yeah, it's a nice variety coming out of the gate with these four, and obviously I will see that. I don't know how far out the Mustang and the Jeep are, but you've got a couple that are still in the early stages.
Yeah, so that would be Mix 3.
Okay, let's see Mix 3.
So Mix 3, we'll start with this. Of course, we got to have a GTR R34.
Of course. Well, you are the original.
Yes.
You made the original, so you might as well make this one as well. And of course, everyone's going to want to see some JDM, and why not go with the hottest casting around? And now we've got it in 143.
It's a little different than the one I did for 143rd. This is a V-Spec NER.
Got it.
I almost have to look. It's not on. Legal's not on there yet. V-Spec NER 2 divided by 4 or something like that. I don't know. But it's one of those.
Sure.
So this has got a little ways to go. It's a little rough right now. So this is first shots.
Got it.
They got some tool cleanup to do and things like that before I'm very excited to see that get all cleaned up and see it in actual color.
Makes sense.
It's coming along. It's coming along.
And we'll just leave it at that. Let people look at it. I mean, obviously, I think the big thing will be an R34 is coming in this line. That will be very popular, very exciting, and you can kind of get a sense of what it's going to be. And we'll leave it at that.
And this one, like the Mustang, it seemed to make sense to me. We actually separated out there's 2 trays on the chassis, which are separate.
Oh, look at that.
I wish they molded these in different colors, but you've got the drivetrain, and then you got a separate part for the exhaust.
That is cool.
So it breaks it down to give those details a little bit.
So that
more
red is not
definition.
all one piece. There's
no.
more
There's
pieces.
actually 4 pieces.
Wow, that is super, super cool. That's going to be
So-
really a popular. I mean, we know what that's going to be. Very cool.
And then, very, very cool race car. The Mercedes GT3.
Wow.
The
Look
AMG.
at that.
AMG
Sure. Yeah.
GT3. Again, a little rough. It's first shots, so they have some tool cleanup to do.
Got it.
One of the things I really fought for, and my pardon me for I did not pack this well last night. I did break the wing. I was rushing. And,
But you guys beat these up anyway. That's kind of the job, right?
yeah,
You want to
yeah,
see how they feel, what happens.
yeah. So, so the wing's a little tweaked too. I was kind of shocked. We did get these little
Bring it
shut
up a
offs.
little closer here.
shut offs there,
Look at that.
which I fought for
Yeah.
and managed to get. So that is pretty awesome.
That is amazing.
Those are very tiny holes, and
Yes. But they get 'em.
manufacturing does not like to do that. So
Look at that.
yeah,
So we'll see this one, I like racing style deco or something.
it'll have a racing, very very cool racing livery. Van has done the deco. It's in for licensor approval.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
it's on its way.
These look spectacular. I'm very excited to watch this line develop. I think if, in truth be told, I think a lot of us who are so used to collecting 164, it's going to be something new.
Yes.
Like you say originally, like we're going to do 143. I'm like, well, good. I'll see who likes it. But like this will be fun to watch and to see, like, it's going to be hard to ignore these, I think. And I think there's a different approach to these. The scale is different, but the vibe I'm getting as I see these with you and what your approach is from, like, matching the paint, trying to get as many details, obviously building them from the ground up, from like wheels to everything else, it's about replicating these cars as exact and as close as you can. Like, I think this is, the vibe I get, this is going to be a very different kind of collecting experience than, say, everything from collecting premium, basic, RLC. Like, those are, obviously, I love doing all of that, but this is going to be kind of a new, different experience as collecting these kind of cars. With the kind of the way you're approaching them.
Yeah, and that isn't to say that we won't have modified cars.
Sure.
But
you want to add, if there's a detail, you're going to put it in there.
I'm gonna, yes, it's gonna be a realistic interpretation if we do a modified car.
Got
as
it.
Well, it's not gonna be all tweaked out and all that kind of
Makes
stuff.
sense.
It's gonna be scaled and it's gonna be appropriate. So you can tell on the Jeep pretty much that things are to scale and
Yes.
they're not just randomly, just whatever. Keeps you honest.
I bet it does. And the last bit, just to finish this off, and I really appreciate you doing this for us. They're still Hot Wheels in the sense that they're coming on blister cards.
Yes. Bit controversial inside.
Really?
'Cause, I mean, 143rd you usually think of in a
box or- yeah.
in a case and all that kind of stuff.
Let's see it.
We wanted to do something a little different. We wanted to do that Hot Wheels blister, but we also, so what we're doing, if I can,
Sure.
this is how you're going to get it. You've got sort of a clamshell blister with the card.
Yeah.
On the car. And once you open it up, which I can do this without hurting myself. Oop, I just did that. Don't want to do that.
That's what about
Probably.
filming does.
Yeah, I know. I probably should have done this before, then I wouldn't have to do it. So you can take this out. Take out your card. Take out your car. Look at your car.
Yeah.
Do all your, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And put it back in,
And just slide it back into the blister.
which is never easy on camera.
Sure.
It's a lot easier in person.
I think you're doing pretty good.
Put it back together. And the package has a footer on it down here, so you can display it.
That is awesome. So it's still Hot Wheels in the way that
Yep.
you can display them or hang them or whatever you want to do.
So it's sort of blister and protector pack all in one.
Sure. And the fact that you can put it back is very nice.
Yeah.
For those of us
Yeah.
who like to open stuff especially too.
And for me, I would love having some of that case money to put into the car.
Yes.
So
I get it. And I think that's a great way of thinking of it, is like being to move away from that, you get that many more details in the casting.
Yeah.
So. Phil, this has been a treat. It's going to be really fun to watch this line develop. Of course, your normal forays into basic and premium will watch those cars develop as well. But this is really cool. Obviously, we'll see some of these this summer, which will be exciting at Target. And let's do this again. when we're
Yeah.
in LA or something. I
Yeah.
want to see what else you're working on, and especially in the 143 scale and how that expands. And this will be a treat.
Yeah, you will see in 2024 more variety. You will see more cars.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
That'll be great. Thanks for doing this, especially 2 takes.
Thank you.
I bet
It's
you're a
always
little
better the
exhausted.
second time, right?
Yeah, you know what? It probably was. It probably
Probably
was.
was, yeah.
Thanks, Phil.
All right. Take
Bye.
care.